Oh, good afternoon, David. You made it.
Made it. Just.
Right, let me get Facebook on board. Apparently, I made an arse earlier and Facebook didn't go live. So let me sort that out the new. Ah, Jesus.
Yeah, with the blues and twos on the ambulance getting me back from Westmark.
Good. Because if we bloody well didn't, I'd be going solo, and I haven't wrote a solo show like I did last week or today, babe, you know.
Well, the good bit of news for me, just while you get organised there, is that I got my operation to remove my leg on the 17th of April. 198 days later, that was last Friday, I took my first steps unaided, actually walked unaided. And for me, I felt 7 foot tall. I really did. It was a brilliant feeling.
Guys, this is a fucking miracle to me. You know my background. I know about amputees. I've never seen anybody. I've never seen anything fucking like it.
Right. No, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
I don't just mean you. I mean the way the science has moved on.
Yeah, brilliant.
Where it was 12 months ago, somebody was back on their feet.
Every single week that I've been, I've made an improvement. Okay, they say to me, the Hugh's doing it, right? But the way they've done it is brilliant, you know.
Aye.
So,
right, Facebook's on board. Better get the chat up, huh? Well, I'll put the chat up. Right, let's have a look. Better go back through the chat. Okay. Oh, David, I have to say that before we move on to the important stuff, is that that's another 500 quid out to the food banks, and
right.
that's the Tarbert soup kitchen.
Good.
And the
be careful. Yeah.
And moving on mid Argyle, Arashee and Loch Gilpin, right? And they were very thankful for it. They got the money on Friday, as promised by me when I spoke to them on Thursday.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, audience. Once again, you have made a massive difference to our communities. And the people who run these things have thanked you all sincerely as well. And we even got one in watching the programme last week on Thursday after I spoke to her on Thursday about making sure she had the money in the bank on Friday.
Maybe more importantly, people that won't get a chance to thank for it are the people that actually use the food banks and people that are in that situation. It's you look at these people and you think to yourself, that was no fault of your own. That happened to you. That was made to happen to you. Scotland shouldn't be in that position. Simple as that.
Well, June is a debate in the House of Commons about farmers right now. June, no doubt that it'll be finishing up because the Education Secretary is about to make an announcement.
Yeah, but Farage reckons that Keir Starmer is not helpful to the farmers at all. Yeah.
And the man that cut the farmers after the European market, could they make it up? Right.
That's right.
We only have an hour, and we have a heavy schedule in front of us and a lot to discuss.
Yes, I know.
I'll batter through this, a introduction to the first subject, and then we'll discuss it a wee bit before we move on. Okay. Sushi breaks out over who will cover the cost of 500 million for national insurance increases in the public sector wage costs here in Scotland. And that is because it's no clear whether the UK government is going to cover the cost to the public sector and the Scottish budget for their increasing of taxes which are not devolved. Okay. Now, on Sunday Politics on the BBC with Dana Sarwar, and he told us that there would be discussions between the Scottish Government and the Westminster Government. But we also had Ivan McKee tell us that the UK government's not talking to him. And there seems to be confusion within the UK government. So it's only a minute and a bit of a program of an interview. So I thought I would play it. Now remember, Anna Sarah was on before. I'm not going to show the wee twat because he said something. In fact, I will actually could say something that's so ridiculous that it needs dissected. Okay. So I'm going to share these. First, I'll put Anna up on I'll put Anna and Ivan up on this sushi. Okay. So we'll get Anna on first.
It should not be ambiguous. It should be clear. Whatever is happening with the money.
Right, as I say, I'll put Anna up first.
Yep, okay.
The Scottish Government say £500 million of that extra cash will have to be used compensating public sector employers for the national insurance increase. Is that something the Treasury should do rather than for having to come from the money that the Scottish Government's getting?
We've already said to the Scottish Government that discussions will take place in order to compensate the public services around the increase in the national insurance contributions.
To suggest that it was included in the money. Others have suggested it would be extra.
So which clarify that there'll be work between Darren Jones, our Chief Secretary of the Treasury, and devolved administrations. But let me emphasise something, Gary, which is the SNP went into this budget asking for £70 billion of additional public spending. And they've now come out of this budget opposing £40 billion of revenue-raising measures. It is completely economically illiterate, and actually it's a scale of economic illiteracy that Liz Truss and Russell Finlay would be embarrassed about. So if they are suggesting we shouldn't have made the decisions around the national insurance contributions, where do they want that additional £1.5 billion this year and £3.4 billion next year to come from? If they have, please bring it forward. If it's to hit...
I'm going to stop that there, David, because that particular statement needs to be addressed. The Scottish Government wanted 70 billion worth of tax rises.
Yeah.
The Labour Government delivered 40 billion worth. And the Scottish Government are not supposed to be opposed to the fact that they've come up short. Is this guy a fucking rocket scientist?
I don't know what he is.
Has this guy been in politics at all?
I think my mother used to say, he opens his mouth and lets his belly rumble. That's it.
Do you know what? Cracking analogies, David. Let's move on to what Ivan has to say in response. Okay. But this idea that they're opposed to just 40 billion because they wanted 70 billion worth of fucking tax hikes. And by the way, he asked the SNP to come up with an alternative. They did. And so did the fucking IFS and UOBR. And the IFS and UOBR's answer was, follow Scotland's tax programme. Follow Scotland's more progressive tax programme. That was the answer the IFS come up with.
Yeah.
Hi, Simon says. Whatever that's about. Be careful with this message button because apparently Restream kicks people off of YouTube. Anyway, so apparently, as we know, the public sector pensions have been protected for this NI rise, whereas the public sector are getting whacked with contributions made by their employers. But obviously, the rise from 13.8% to 50% will be passed on to public sector employers, meaning NHS, civil service, that sort of thing. Right down the line to teachers and all that through council organisations. Okay, so it would appear that that cost we're going to have to come out of the block grant, according to Rachel Reeves, and the 3.4 billion of an increase to the block grant next year. I mean, there's nothing to cover the period running up to the next financial year, nothing.
Yeah.
So those tax increases have happened the day of the budget, like alcohol, tobacco, that sort of thing. There's no compensation for any of these schemes until after the start of the next financial year. So, a bit unfair, but that's the way it goes. Big fight.
Well, we listened to Rachel Reeves, and quite a few times during her statement, she made several more than several non-promises,
Yes.
which means that effectively she's saying something and it's not going to come true. It doesn't really mean anything, right? And also, this thing of the argument you're talking about, there should be no ambiguity whatsoever.
That's right.
It should be straightforward. This is what you're getting. Shouldn't be any wobbly-gob about it at all. It should be straightforward. That's what you're getting. End of story. At the moment, what we're getting is an ambiguous answer. He says no. End of that.
I mean, that 3.4 billion, when you get right down to it, and I'm going to put Ivan up the roof, is he tells us that only 1.5 billion of that is for the public sector.
Right.
I mean, there are obviously other government bodies that are getting money in England, which the money is ring fenced for. That's the way it works. So if there's money goes to education, there's money for education, the balanced formula. The Scottish Government generally say they get to decide where to spend it. But it's keeping up with the Joneses, isn't it? Or being better than the Joneses.
I say it each week, and I say it again. What's the answer to this? What's the answer to it? Independence, independence, independence. How many times do we have to say it? Huh?
I'm not saying it, don't David, you.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm not saying it is because the reason why I'm not saying it is because I don't need to state the fucking obvious.
Yeah.
Your audience is no stupid.
Yeah.
Although a stupid person who popped up in the audience brings on Article 2 here in our discussion today.
Yeah.
In the paper review this morning, I had a unionist pop up and I asked it. I was already in the rant when I seen this comment, so I put it up there. I gave the guy some facts and I didn't complete the facts. Okay. But then I then told them once to get rid of him because I couldn't be bothered with that level of stupidity that early in the morning. My dog's sick. I was out to 2 o'clock this morning. The whole fucking fleet was in. And I'd get back up again at fucking 7 to write the show. So it was a wee bit crap. Right. But anyway, what he said was Scotland had a deficit of 10.4 billion and couldn't afford the independence. Now, David, what is the word that you use to describe Scotland's deficit?
Non-existent.
Notional. Notional is you keep fucking impressing upon me. I kept saying nominal, but nominal and notional are different because nominal means the amount is ambiguous, whereas notional means the amount is fantasy. But I thought we better clear this up for people where Scotland's alleged debt comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Because an awful lot of people won't be aware of where this so-called Scotland's national debt comes from. It comes from the Treaty and Articles of Union. And in the Treaties and Articles of Union, when Scotland joined the Union, it agreed to take a per capita percentage of any debt that union created. What they didn't understand was we were getting immediately a portion of England's debt to allow the Scottish king who'd taken out the crown down there to be able to afford to keep financing his war on 2 fronts against the French and the Spanish.
Okay.
Right. Now, Scotland, of course, as we know, fast forward to now, legally Scotland cannot have any debt. It's in the 1998 Scotland Act. And Scotland's never had any debt. Scotland's always contributed more to the Union than what it's got back. That's why in 1910 they stopped publishing the proper figures, and in 1996 they had to come up with the JARS because people were asking questions.
Yeah.
So they come up with the JARS to make it look as if Scotland was giving less to the Union than what it was getting back. Something we know is a lot of balls. But how they did that was through the tax regime. So some taxes were reserved and only apportioned to Scotland, like alcohol revenue, tobacco revenue, oil and petrol, fuel revenues, and oil and gas production revenues. All right.
Well, hang on. Just you're bang on when you talk about that, right? But there is a figure that England accepts that Scotland has raised, right? Now, the latest figures I've got in this particular block that I'm looking at, right, it's 2018.
Uh-huh.
In 2018, Scotland raised, this is not including your VAT and all the other shit that goes along. Scotland raised 59 billion, 30 million pounds in revenue, right?
I talk about the public sector, David. We're not talking about private sector because you had done that as well.
Just take in that 59 billion, okay, right?
Uh-huh.
Then we got back from the Treasury 36 billion. There's odds, there's coppers on that, all right, okay.
Right.
So effectively, what you're talking there is 23 billion that is being spent for, not spent in Scotland, but spent in England, baby. Yeah, usually in England, right? And at the end of the day, it's like we take our independence, even if they got like 100 Philadelphia lawyers to prove that Scotland has got 10 billion that it owes, right? Which it doesn't. I'll tell you what, we're well covered. So fuck off with that blooming figure, whoever brought it up, right?
Okay, no, let's get into where the figure came from. Now, the figure comes from the Treaty of Union and the Articles of Union, where the Scottish the Scottish government of the day agreed to take on a per capita proportion share of the debt. So the 10% we're talking about, or the 10%.
And England wasn't debt, and Scotland wasn't.
That's
at the
right.
time.
We'll get to that in a second. Right?
Yeah.
We only have an hour, David. Can you let me get through this?
Yeah.
Okay, that's but right. Now, I want to explain where the 10.4% of deficit comes from. The 10% is our per capita share of the UK debt while we're in the Union, but only while we're in the Union. The 0.4% is what we actually pay, and that's the annual interest on it.
Now, can you imagine that situation? Imagine that situation. Let's say that David went out and got himself a new outfit, a new wardrobe of clothes, right? And he got it on tick. And he said, David, you're taking, let's say 30% of that bill. You're responsible for it. And I'd go, what? That's effectively what's been done to Scotland. What's happened is
buying a car and telling you you're going to pay 30%. You're right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But that was the agreement, and you can look it up. That's the agreement in the Treaty Article of Union.
Yep.
But what it specifically says is the moment Scotland leaves that union, that liability belongs to them. Yes. And we knew that because of Mr. Salmon pushing the Treasury on it during the 2013-14 campaign.
Yeah.
We knew that the minute we left the Union, the debt was Westminster's.
Yeah.
Scotland had no liabilities whatsoever for it. The liability only exists because of the wording of the treaty, and that is while Scotland's in the Union, it will shoulder its share of the Union's debts.
Where we were
left the Union,
right? Where we were in danger of taking some of that debt is if we continued using sterling, which we have no intention of now, because we become independent, we will be going for our own individual currency, right? And it has to happen that way. It must happen that way. We cannot afford to use sterling.
Anyway, because I blasted this unionist on this stupidness, because we know in 1998 Scotland can't run a deficit. The only borrowing power Scotland has is to borrow some of the same money for infrastructure, but it's going to pay it back to the Treasury.
Yeah.
And that's only 2% of the Scottish Block grant.
Yeah.
Which is buttons. We're talking hundreds of millions when the Scottish Block grant has fallen from 66 billion at its peak to 54 billion at the moment.
Yeah.
54 or 56. I need to look the latest figure up. It's been hamstrung by 11% since 2016. We know that. The budget has been Scotland's budget has been cut by 11.9% since 2016. We know that. These are facts, indisputable.
Well, it's not only, no. But before that, we changed from the aggression system to the Barnett formula, right?
Aye.
And the change from the aggression system to the Barnett formula cost us about 2%, 2.5%.
2.2 billion, but that happened because of George Osborne's changing how oil and gas was taxed.
Well, it was
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, right.
Right, let's move on because I just wanted to explain how Scotland has this so-called 10.4%.
Yeah. But as you can see, there's many roads at it. There's many roads at it. With Scotland's well covered. See, we go independent. Forget it. Don't worry about anything.
I mean, one of the things I could have taken issue there with what you said was Scotland is now going for the same currency. Because you know me, David, Scotland has a currency. I've got it in my wallet. What Scotland doesn't have a central bank to print it and license it.
Correct. And what have we already got, which is ready?
The National Investment Bank and the Green Investment Bank.
The National Investment Bank very easily can be taken over to become our central bank. Not a problem.
Right, time's getting short. One of the biggest questions here in Scotland right now is the Parliament now a zombie Parliament?
Answer yes.
Could the SNP get the budget through in December? Yes. But will it be able to get through any of its big ticket legislation? No. Now, there are some reasons for that, David, and I've got them written down. Now, the reasons behind that is that Russell Finlay, the new Tory leader here in Scotland, has thrown his hat in. We are thrown himself in with Kimmy Badenoch, the nutter we down the road, and as we know, she's going to move even further to the right, which means he will oppose the SNP even harder because the SNP are left of centre and want to introduce social policies. And of course, the big issues that are coming through Holyrood right now are social policies, like land reform, rent caps, or rent reforms, and of course, we have the legislation on the National Care Service. All hitting that Parliament.
Not going to get through. Not going to get through because the Tories are being pushed by Farage and his motley crew, same as they were with UKIP and Farage and his motley crew, right? Aye. And seriously, what we're looking at is what? What we're looking at, David? What did they wear brown shirts for? Huh?
Because they were
fascists. That's what they were.
Oh, that was David. The real reason for brown shirts is because fascists when they open their mouth, shake coming down the Port Royal.
Oh, I know. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Anyway, but listen, because of what's going on, I mean, Holmes had to shelf a few of flagship policies for Nicola. But John's taking a different attitude. And this is an interesting thing. John's attitude, like when it comes to things like a conversion therapy, John just dumped it as a subject here in Scotland. He says, let Westminster take the flak for the culture wars. Right. That might be the smartest thing John ever did.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when they go in and they're debating the conversion therapy and they actually pass a bill on conversion therapy, when it hits people in Scotland and they get angry about it, John can say, don't fucking look at me, look at them. You know? It might be the first fucking smart movie he's made.
Yeah.
And I say that grudgingly.
Yeah. It's one of the items we got on. I can't remember where it falls, but it's Alex Salmon. They found.
We'll get to that, David. Let's go. Don't let's go.
But I'm just looking at the time, and I want to get that in definitely.
Well, actually, David, you're right on score. It's number 4 here in Scotland.
Right.
Police
Yeah.
received new a sexual assault complaint against the late Mr. Salmon. The complaint is not a recent incident. And the reason behind this complaint, Alex death has shoved the polls for independence higher.
Yeah.
And the state shit itself. It's worried that the Yes movement's going to get back behind the SNP or a single entity. So what it's doing is it's stereotyping Scottish political leaders. Salmon the sex pest.
Yeah.
Sturgeon the embezzler or thief, including her husband.
Yeah.
Who's the Yusuf the terrorist? What are they going to label John?
John 20.
Is he going to be the drunk or the junkie?
The drunk, so we can call him John Swally.
Aye, John Swally, aye. It's funny. So, I mean, this is absolute classic UK state shit. Remember the tellies in the 80s and the 90s? Anytime there was a bad guy, a sex offender, a drunk, a junkie, a thief, an embezzler, a bank robber, there was somebody with a Scottish accent.
Aye.
And they're doing the same thing with our first ministers. Wake up, people! So Alex the sex pest, Nicola's a thief, Hooms is a violent thug. I guess John's going to be a drunk and a junkie.
Yeah.
If he grows a backbone and starts taking them on. But maybe with John Drapen, the conversion therapy thing, and kicking it down the road and saying, you decide, let's hear the Scottish people decide how you do, what you do. All of a sudden, this guy might have a political strategy. We'll see. He's going forward.
Sorry.
I'll tell you what, David. I had the same argument with my elder brother. He's a smart man, so I'll tell you, I'll get him to phone you, and you can fucking have the same argument with him I had.
Okay. Well,
my elder brother seems to think that John's got a strategy.
I think John's a good middle manager. Really an excellent middle manager.
I agree,
but he's as far as being a salmon or sturgeon, nah, never.
No, he's definitely not up there with the stage person stuff.
Yeah.
But he is a great administrator, David. I won't take that away from him.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's like I give in to that. Then you get Humza. We looked at with a good consideration of Humza, and effectively he.
Yeah, but you and I are fighting his fucking belly. You know, he was taking it.
Yeah, he found his belly. He did. You know, and I thought, well, here we go.
You and I have spent our decade taking it to them, for fuck's sake. Humza was right up your street.
Yeah.
You know. Hey. Right, let's move on, David, because that one's just cracked me up. The reason why I wanted to speak about it was because it was stereotyping to our politicians the same way they've stereotyped to our people.
Yeah.
Drunks, junkies, thieves, vagabonds, sex offenders, the lowest of the low. That's how they see it.
What's the answer? Independence. Independence.
Oh, you're going to want to give it. Brilliant. Right, I guess we better move down the road to the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, so we're right on the halfway point.
Yep, right.
And beyond, of course, but no, actually, we're not going any further. Give me 2 seconds, folks. I know this will be more unprofessional. I was pulled up on my David and I's lack of professionality, or my lack of professionality. But as I explained to the fella, we're a wee bit computer literate, so we can't pull up fucking test cards and things like that before we go live. And well, I've sorted out Facebook. When the fella then came back and said to me, was, no, I like your content. Your content's good. It's just a wee bit amateurish. I'm sorry, folks. We're a pair of old geezers. And, you know, although I grew up with it, and David grew up with it, in fact, we fucking invented this tech, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, that's it. Don't worry about it.
It's moved on that fast, but as long as you like the content. Right, let's move on. Now, as I say, I'm going a bit unprofessional. It's getting dark. We're in the dark nights. I'm going to go put the light on in the office if you don't mind, David. Do a bit of banding while I got up, will you?
I'll get this thing. It's a ring, and you go. Ooh.
I'm going to say, David, and it illuminates my face wonderfully.
It's my Halloween face.
I've got a halo too, but you know, it illuminates my face, all right, but it doesn't light up my fucking book. I'm trying to read. Because as you know, David, and as the people know, we do script this stuff.
Right.
And at least at this point in time, I do. Last week it was brilliant because you helped me do it, and that was a lot.
Yeah, well, the problem is I haven't got I can write now, but I can't write very fast. So when you're trying to formulate a program, it's not on. You know, you take half an hour to do a single section. You know.
I'll do the writing, you do the talking, because I'll tell you what, it really helps, because if you're not going to be here, I've got to write 2 fucking shows. Because you know there's trigger points in what I write, David.
I know.
I know people don't understand this, but there is trigger points and questions that breaks up what we're doing. Right, Ange, thank you very much. You're a superstar.
Alistair, thank you all again, man.
Alistair, I'm beginning to think you're a secret millionaire boy. Every YouTube channel I hit, you're getting money.
Do you want to adopt me, Alistair?
Apparently, I'm awfully good with the iPads, according to Stephen. Aye, but Stephen, you've been watching me a long time, sir. So you know that this is what we call the iPad. There's a grey one for David, and there's a black one for the Davy.
Yep, that's it.
They're colour coded. There is 67 of these and 4 of these, and we'll be doing the programme for 2 years, David, with 4 of these.
Yeah.
But there's 60 odd of these. But that's the difference between you do a daily show and a twice weekly show, you know.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, let's get back on, will we? Let's get back on point, David. Alistair, as I say, I'm beginning to think you're a secret millionaire boy.
Yeah, definitely.
So take that down. And I'll catch up with the rest of the content. Right, Education Secretary doing that road. We'll have a look and see how much it's going up by. Has announced that higher education in England will increase next year. Now, this announcement was due at 16:15 this afternoon. If the debate hasn't run out that they were having on the farmers, then the announcement should have been made by now, because she was making a statement to Parliament, or it should be getting made by now. So we'll have a look. Education sex announcement to Parliament. And let's see if there's any headline figures come up here. Education Secretary made several announcements to the Parliament. Teacher recruitment, 6,500 new teachers. So that's 1 for every 3 schools, or 4 schools. Something to do with T levels. No, she's not announced the amount that it's gone up by yet, as far as I can see. But she's in the process of making the announcement. But
you know, Labour have set themselves up very, very much anti-private schools, right?
Yes.
You're rich, bod. Send the kids to private school, fine. That's going to continue. Doesn't matter where it goes up to. It's going to be. It's still going to do it, right? There's still going to be those private schools. There are a lot of people in England that strive to get their kids into a private school because they are the best schools, without doubt, right? I mean, I saw that in Yarm where I was. There was a Yarm comprehensive, and there was a Yarm private school where they were dressed up in military uniforms and all the rest of it, right? But there was an open day, and I got a chance to speak to the teachers, same as I'd spoken to the teachers in the comprehensive, right? Teachers in the comprehensive were like I'm not going to say they were dummies, but they were dummies next to this crew that were in the private school. These guys and ladies were like way beyond what was expected of a teacher, and fantastic. Yeah,
The secret to a good educator.
Yeah.
The secret to a good educator is to know their subject and know well. But very importantly, to be able to transmit it in language that others could understand.
Yeah.
In the States, they just take whoever's got a certificate. In the private schools, they make sure they get the cream of those who have that certificate.
Correct. The people in England have strived, even in Scotland, have strived to get their kids into private school. It's like, I understand it. I do understand it. But to be honest with you, it's like if we do away with the private schools and everybody's public, then we're all in the same playing field, as it were.
Aye.
Right?
Aye.
And it means that then we can work at comprehensive schools and get them operating better. But
what always amazed me about the comprehensive school system, David, was that actually the cream of the crop didn't go to the private schools. The cream of the crop actually wanted to get a wider audience, and they went to the public schools. And I had some fantastic educators.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Didn't they do that brilliantly? Yeah. But that was due to my lack of paying attention.
I had some fantastic educators, right? And I did well. I did very well, right?
I did reasonably well, David.
But
you know, I left school with 6 O levels, went to England and got 5 hires. 5 A levels.
Yeah.
You know, so no, I did reasonably well, and I could have went on to university. It was an option for me in the military.
Yeah.
I was also offered, and I spoke to my family about it. I'd be going to Sandhurst and becoming an officer.
Yeah.
But Davy's no officer class. You know, I'm doing no officer class. I mean, as an angry young man, the answer from me was, "Yeah, you don't agree with the way I want to do things, you get fucking scudded." But that's what the military taught you, you know. My way or the fucking highway. The engineers were a wee bit different. Obviously, when you're engineering something, you need a lot of input to make sure you get the right structure at the end of it.
Yeah.
You know, but and that's where I fitted in a wee bit better, as you know. I'm quite good at solution solving. And I'm quite the diplomat, although when you listen to me rant, you wouldn't know that. But David's watched me doing through debates, doing through the decades. And
cut the red wire! Cut the red wire! No, don't cut the blue wire, cut the red wire! Oh, sorry, David.
No, but you're absolutely right. No, but I'm actually quite a diplomat. That's why people often encourage me to get into politics, because the way I am on screen and when I get in my rants and things like that, that's not how I do things. But as I say, sticking up tuition fees in England is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Introducing tuition fees in England was the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. And the reason for it is we all know, if you want to have a high pay, high skills economy, you need a well-educated, happy, healthy population. And England has invested in, they haven't invested in health, they have charged for education, and I've never met a more miserable fucking selfish people in all my life. Well, outwardly projecting a picture of conviviality and generosity. But when you look at the way they match themselves against each other, absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
You know, and I was talking about this on Saturday, David. I know you wouldn't have seen it, but I mean, one of the reasons why the far right is what's rising in England as opposed to civic nationalism and turning on the English Parliament is the fact that the Westminster Parliament is the fact that they don't have devolution. The way we have devolution, that is an English Parliament. And the reason why they don't have an English Parliament is because Westminster doesn't want them to have an English Parliament, because then you'd have 4 equal nations fucking attacking the state.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the state has become an entity on its own, David. And the state's sole purpose is to protect itself.
Well, the answer to that is independence.
Don't you fucking start with that again.
Independence. I'm telling you. Right?
David, if you knew on, I mean, eyes in the prize is my catchphrase. If you knew on, yours is independence, independence, fucking independence.
That's right.
Listen, you don't get paid for stating the obvious.
The obvious sometimes needs stating to get people wound up. Realize that the answer is always, when you look at all these things that we're bringing up, the answer is always independence.
But it does show you the basic degree of economic illiteracy in that house of thieves and carpetbaggers.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
They can't get the basics right. If you don't have a fit, healthy, educated population, nobody wants to hire you unless you're flipping fucking burgers at McDonald's.
That's right. And you end up with please take this the right way. You end up employing a lot of people from abroad with the skills that you need because you haven't educated your own people. End of.
I need to warn Neil McDonald here. Neil, don't you fucking dare send me 2 t-shirts with hashtag Davey says independence, independence, independence. If you do, I'll get in the car, I'll come down to fucking Dumfries and Galloway and I'll shoot you my fucking self. Or even hashtag the other Davey says. I'll still come to fucking Dumfries and Galloway and shoot you my fucking self.
Stop it. Right.
He's a very good friend of mine. And I should have kept my mouth shut. Because next fucking Tuesday, there'll be 2 fucking t-shirts arriving at my table. With the hashtag the other Davey says on it. Fuck! Sometimes I'm my worst fucking enemy.
Come on, away. Let's go. Time's ticking.
Moving on. Sir Keir Starmer, the stupid, has announced 75 million extra for the National Crime Agency and the Border Force in an attempt to stop small boats. Sir Keir Starmer says he'll use anti-terror laws to stop smuggling gangs from sticking people in small boats off the coast of France, pointing at the white clubs of door and say, "Row, you stupid fuckers!"
Yeah. For a start,
David,
yeah.
That's the point where that is the point where we make. See, this people smugglers pish. It's no people smugglers. You've got large groups of people in France. They pull the resources. They buy a half decent second-hand rubber fucking dinghy, a half decent second-hand outboard motors, half a dozen fucking oars, and they all get in a boat as a crew. There's no smugglers involved in this, for fuck's sake. None! And to throw another 75 million and tell us they're going to use anti-terror laws to stop people getting in a fucking rowing boat is madness! Sorry, David, I've had one of these days. My dog's fucking on its way out and it's upsetting me.
Oh, dear. Didn't realise that.
No, it should be fine, actually. His tendons are swollen. I took him for the sort of walk that 15-year-old dog shouldn't go on. You know, and while on it, he was that excited and enjoying it. He was bounced about like a fucking puppy. I knew he's feeling the pain here. The tendons in his back legs are swollen. You know, because of the way he was carrying on. And so I got up this morning wondering if I was going to have to take him for his last journey to the vets, you know. But by lunchtime he started to perk up, but you can see that his tendons are swollen. So he's just going to have to rest until his tendons come down, you know.
Aye.
We'll go to anti-inflammatory.
What they recommend for that in humans is drink lots of liquid. Drink lots. I know it seems to work the opposite way. It doesn't work the opposite way to what you would expect.
As I say, he has been very hydrated. He's back up on his feet. Yesterday he couldn't stand up. But we had this a few years years ago when he got after lunch and him and the coos were playing chases up doing a 2 kilometre stretch in the fields. Well, Davy was chasing after him, trying to grab him as he'd be chasing the coos. Next thing, Davy's racing back over the hill, where I heard the fucking coos chasing him in the dub.
A video? Where's the video? I love to see that.
Unfortunately, Sarah wasn't the you know, and I wasn't the video when the fucking heard the coos chasing me. I was running. What was interesting about that encounter was the dog wasn't trying to attack the coos, and the coos were trying to attack him. It really looked like a game of chases. You know? And then eventually, when the dog collapsed exhausted, I had to carry him home. Buster was a big boy. When I tried to go get him, the coos were challenging me to leave him with him. And they were going to the steam and get water and spitting it out of him to cool him down, believe it or not. That was quite amazing. I wish I had video of that, actually, David. Yeah. Right, anyway. So Kid Starmer wants to give another 75 million on top of the $500 million that the Tories are running to pay out to stop the votes because it's people smugglers who do not fucking exist, David.
What was that the wee guy in Holland did? Stuck his finger in the hole in the dike. Huh?
Aye.
But the thing is, though, gets to the point when the hole gets too big that a finger won't do anymore, right? And that's what Starmer's doing. He's feeding money into something that's going to become explosive after a while. Especially if climate change starts causing movements, mass movements of populations. Because that
is only one of the things Starmer was talking about this week, that the world has to get a grip and start paying attention to mass movement appeal. And his reason for saying that, according to him, was climate change. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't intend to bring it into the conversation. I'll tell you something else I did miss, and I want to go back to it, David, if you don't mind. One of the things I did miss was on the tuition fee rises. Guess who's in support of it?
Go on then.
The universities.
Let's see.
They're losing revenue. They're losing revenue because of Brexit and the fact that there is a worldwide recession in progress. Yeah. So people from China and Nigeria don't want to come here. And the other reason for that is the change of the visa system under the immigration bill, which means that students can't bring their families.
Yeah.
So if you're married and you've got a wife and a couple of kids and you're coming to do a bachelor's or a post-degree education, then you can't bring your family. And that's putting people off coming here as well. So the education sector, believe it or not, actually want these fucking rises.
Yeah.
To plug a gap. Now, one of the interesting things about it is 40% of these universities are carrying huge amounts of debt. Why are they carrying huge amounts of debt? Because in order to attract these international students, they've had to stop the thing that we used to watch on telly called Rise and Damps, where students were living in fucking hovels in bedrooms in people's damp houses and paying extortionate rates, and build proper student accommodation to attract these international students. So 40% of universities are carrying huge amounts of debt. So the English and Welsh universities, they want the tuition fees to go up. The Scottish universities, well, we don't care. Why? Because what the Scottish... I'll tell you
the only one I've had actual real sort of experience of was Glasgow Uni.
Aye.
Glasgow Uni student accommodation is brilliant. It's amazing, right?
Well, I'm going to tell you why the Scottish universities didn't go down the same road as the English universities. What the Scottish universities did was they took some of their excess cash and bought building plots.
Yes.
And then they invited developers to come in and build on these plots and rent the accommodation out. And if it stopped meeting university standards, they would be delisted as student accommodation.
That's in other words, they put in place a license system.
Yes.
If you were licensed to rent accommodation to these foreign students, then you continued.
Oh no, you're just students, Scottish students as well.
Your Scottish students, yeah.
Right. We need to move on. Bank of England wobbles because of Rachel Reeves' budget.
Yeah.
This is a big one, David.
Yes.
They're talking about cancelling November's 0.25% drop in interest rates.
So they're going to stay at 5%. And
We don't know yet.
No, but they're talking about 5%. They're talking about keeping it at 5%, right? And even in that situation, in that environment, even talking about 5% and keeping it 5% is enough. You might as well have said, "Oh, we are definitely doing this," because that's what people listen to.
They haven't. The Bank of England would be fair and keep their mouth shut. But yeah, anyway, Brian Cox, the director of the bridge and loan brokers, he reckons not cutting the rates will stifle the housing market, increase the rate of repossessions, and will damage the economy. And Jack Tutton, the director of SG Mortgages, says the Bank of England must stick to its plan or it cuts off growth. And I have to agree.
Yeah.
When interest rates are high, nobody's investing. Nobody.
That's right.
Whether that's buying a home or building a business, you're just not doing it.
You may think that 0.25% is not a lot of money, right? Okay, to some people it's like 30-40% on their mortgage, 30-40 quid in their mortgage per month, right? When you're talking about that kind of drop in somebody that's got millions invested, that's a massive amount that makes. So really, the idea that the Bank of England are not going to make that 0.25% drop is going to cost an awful lot to the people that are, if you like, are financing the companies throughout the UK, right?
David, I know you don't watch my paper review, right? But this morning, one of the headlines in the Scottish paper got 2,000 children in temporary homes here in Scotland. Now, I had a bit of a rant about Jack McConnell and his 1.5 billion, saying he couldn't find nothing to spend it on, and how many houses you could have built for 1.5 billion when the average price of a home in 2007 was £100,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's 10 for $1 million and 1,000 for $1 billion. You know what I mean? Sorry, 100,000 for $1 billion. There you go. So that's mental. Because you got 1,000 million and $1 billion, and you're getting 10 hussies for $1 million.
Yeah.
That would be 1,000 hussies, wouldn't it? Aye, okay. Glad we got that right. Anyway, so I had a bit of a rant about that this morning on the housing thing. But it's all proportionate. It really is. It really is proportionate. So what the Bank of England does is really important to how this economy either shrinks and contracts. Now the question I keep asking myself, David, and I don't know whether you ask yourself this or not, is why is it for the last 16 to 20 years, or even longer, or as far back as 50 years, are the UK government deliberately stifling this economy and its prospects?
David, you need to say that again because we all lost it. You cut off quite a bit. Say it again. Why? What? Can't hear you, David. Lost your microphone. Speak. No. Not getting you. Not getting you. No. You're coming back in now. Dear. David has lost the plot. or he's lost the signal. DT fitting a new bit of gear to his pole doesn't seem to have done very much. I'll wait and see if he comes back on, because as you will know, it's me that bounces off David. Thank you, Mr. E. Super Tat, £2. How's Buster doing? And happy birthday tomorrow, mate. Yes, it's David's birthday tomorrow. He's 10 years younger than me, so that means he'll be 57 years old, or 57 years young. There he is there. Hey! You're back. Can we hear you? Nope. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Right, am I back yet?
Yeah. You're breaking up bad.
Sorry about that. So much for BT fixing my fucking internet.
Yeah, well, we said that. We also talked about your birthday. The fact that your birthday tomorrow, right?
Aye.
And
Aye, tomorrow is my birthday.
you're 87 tomorrow.
Again? Fuck, I wish I'd have found through until I was 87. I'd be better after the found through until I was 69 up right now.
So you're 57 tomorrow, so that's good.
Aye.
Good age to be. Right.
Anyway,
it's nearly knocking off time. So
I'm not sorry. But anyway, let's go for it. New Tory leader says a party needs to make an honest approach with the UK public this time out. Did you hear me? Aye.
yeah, we heard the words, but you're out of sync. But it doesn't matter. Carry on.
So Kimmy Badenoch admits she's a fucking liar.
Yeah.
And she lied to the UK public, but said her party now has to take a more honest approach.
David, no, it's not getting any better. Seriously.
Okay, right, we'll quit it here. And we'll thank everybody for joining, okay?
Don't forget, tomorrow we've got the old American election on tomorrow, right? And would you believe they're all now exactly neck and neck? So the American broadcasters are going, oh, I can't believe it, they're neck and neck. What's going to happen? So you'll find out tomorrow.
Aye.
So whoever gets Philadelphia gets 30 college points. So there you are.
I will. You know, the popular vote doesn't win it there, David, as the electoral college.
Yeah.
So we've no time for America goes to the polls. We've no time for genocide Joe sanctioned Lebanon. And we've no time for Kim Jong-un saying he'll stand by Putin until his victory in Ukraine. But I dare say we'll get to it in one of these programs, David.
Yes.
No.
and you'll be perhaps in sync one of these days.
Well, David, I can't show you this because you know what an impetuous little bastard I am. Right after this broadcast, I'll be on the phone to BT, giving them a bit of shit about why I'm still getting crap internet connection. And telling them I'm moving to fucking fibre optics if they don't fucking sort it out, because there is fibre optics in the village.
Oh dear.
Anyway, guys, thanks for your super chats. Thanks for your contributions. Please hit the like button.
Yeah.
Please hit the
we're having a look at this fibre optic cable. Is this fibre optic? Are you sure? Yeah. Right. Okay. So if you enjoyed this, please give us a like, please. We need more people to subscribe. My goodness me, that many times we've got to ask. We've got a lot of people watch us, but they don't subscribe, right? Or a lot of people like us and they don't subscribe. Please takes just a few seconds to subscribe to the channel. It makes a real big difference to us, right? So there you go. Thanks for the donation.
David, I want to quantify that and what you're saying there.
Yep,
it does make a big difference to you and I, but not financially.
No, not
it makes no difference to us financially. We don't do it for personal gain. We do it to keep the public informed, and whatever we earn, we give to food banks.
Yeah.
And the mere fact that food banks and baby banks exist in this century tells us that man is not intelligent enough to have created artificial intelligence.
What's the answer to that?
Independence.
You're getting it.
Hey, listen, you get your fucking Neil McDonald, you'll be warm. I get you t-shirts next week with the other DVCs on it. I'm coming to fucking the freezing galley and I'll shoot you myself!